You guys, I love knitting. I love knitting more than Barack Obama loves retirement. I'm a little defensive about it because I'm always doing it in places where other people think it's inappropriate. Baseball games, bars, conference calls, Southern California. So tonight, I'm gonna serve my own best interest. I wanna get you guys on board with knitting is awesome so that you will stop looking at me funny, okay? Let's start with this, the basics. Knitting is just 2 stitches, knits and purls. That's it. The absence or combination of knits and purls in intentional and nearly infinite ways will give you every knitted object on the planet, which means it's engineering. If you like puzzles or games or math or problem solving or building or shapes, you really might consider learning how to knit. I think you'll like it. So let me tell you about what it's like to learn. You start with a knit stitch, right? That 1 stitch over and over again, row after row, for 5.5 feet. That is how you earn your beginner's scarf. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's terrible. You feel super clumsy at the beginning. Over time, you start to relax, and if you can power through, then you get to start another project. And then you'll learn some new skills. And then you'll learn some new skills after that until pretty soon, you are commanding a woolen universe. You can follow any pattern. And if you do the math correctly, and you measured right, and you bought enough yarn, you can make something that fits. How great is that? It's a really amazing feeling. Once you know you can follow any pattern to the outcome that you desire, fair warning, that's when stuff really goes wrong. Because feeling confident enough to read the pattern strongly coincides with feeling confident enough to not have to read the pattern. And now, we come to a lesson that I have learned. 20 years of knitting, this is the same as life. No kidding. Experience does not stop you from making mistakes. It only makes you better at fixing them. Just like in life, mistakes in knitting can usually be attributed to one of 3 things, right? Carelessness, not knowing what you are doing, and too much beer. Luckily for knitters, the fix is usually pretty straightforward, right? You count in order to replace the stitch that has gone missing. You count in order to identify the renegade stitch that has inserted itself into your work so that you can remove it. Sometimes, unfortunately, the only way forward is to go back. Personally, I'm pretty comfortable with frogging. I am what's called a process knitter, which means that I am completely committed to the idea of knitting, tearing it out, knitting, tearing it out, as many times as is necessary to achieve my quiet, private, invisible quest for perfection. It's just me. The other side of the aisle, we have product knitters. Product knitters are, as the name implies, really more interested in the destination. So if you are ever given a knitted gift from a product knitter, I will advise you, measure the sleeves, they might not be the same length, count the buttons in the buttonholes, okay? Fair warning. First, I'm generalizing. There are millions of knitters on the planet, 7 million registered users on our social media network called Ravelry. It's an incredibly strong and really, really valuable online community. Of course, we also have our offline community, right? We get together, we share stories and products and patterns. And despite these communities, it's really important to know that knitting is pretty solitary, right? It's really personal because you chose that yarn. You chose that pattern. You chose to stay up all night and neglect your other commitments. You chose to let that thing sit on the shelf for months or years because you couldn't face it. Someone said that knitting a sweater as a gift is like saying I love you 150,000 times. And that feels really true. You know, it's an amazing thing to tie up the loose ends and wrap it to give it as a gift or put it on and wear it yourself. The only thing better than that is It's going back to your stash to figure out what your next project is going to be. Thank you.